Hello guys and welcome back to Planet 40k. It is our countdown to Christmas and we're on the 2nd of December. My voice is getting a little bit better, still a little bit raspy. Doesn't help that we did a 40-minute video yesterday. The rest of them won't be as long as that, got a little bit carried away. But today we're going to be, of course, doing our themed countdown to Christmas with Necrons versus Tyranids. So if you are on Team Necrons, give me a thumbs up. And if you're on Team Tyranids, give me a thumbs up. Don't know where I was going with that. We've of course got our giveaway ongoing, so get involved in that. Link will be down in the description. But for today, we're going to be comparing two shooter units. And the first one is going to be the Canoptek Doomstalker from the Necron side, and for the Tyranid side, it's the Exocrine. Exocrine. I call it Exocrine. Don't know what it is. Now, at this very moment in time, as I'm recording this, I do not have the new points for Necrons, but the previous points for the Doomstalker was 135. Which is exactly what the Exocrine is. So that's why I've put this as a mini matchup. And basically we're asking ourselves, who outshoots who? That's the gimmick for this video today for the 2nd of December. Also, before we get into it guys, don't forget to put your questions down below for the 24th of December, the Christmas special that we're going to do. We're going to be doing not quite a Q&A, but it's something along those lines. So any questions you want, you'll get a shout out in the video as well. But yeah, let's get into this. Right, so the Canoptek Doomstalker, just for the basic stats here, we got a 8-inch movement, which actually went up from 7-inch, I believe. Toughness 8, 3 plus armor, 4 plus invuln, 12 wounds, 8 plus leadership, and object control is 4. Cool. I'm not going to go through all the bits and bobs here, we'll go through that as we go through the video. It's being compared to the Exocrine, same movement of 8-inch. Toughness is better with toughness 10, 3 plus armor save, no invuln save. There's more wounds here with 14, leadership is 8, and the OC is also 4. Tougher, more wounds, but no invuln. That's the main gist of that. The weapons are on the screen for you, but again, we'll go over that in a moment. So, what are we doing here? If we are taking this Canoptek Doomstalker, and we were firing this Doomsday Blaster, I mean, the Twin Gorse Flare is another weapon, but it's, to be honest, it's a bit trash. And I always forget to use it, but if I do remember, it doesn't do anything anyway. The Doomsday Blaster is where it's at. It's got Blast Heavy, 48-inch range, d6 plus 1 attacks, Ballistic Skill 4 plus, Strength 14, minus 3 AP and 3 damage. Now I've put the Exocrine stat line on the screen just so you can see what it's going up against. Of course it's wounding on a 3+ because toughness strength 14 versus toughness 10. It means it's wounded on 3s. Now if you are to take this weapon and you are firing d6 plus 1 attacks, on average, purely averages here, you're looking at 4.5 shots. 4.5 shots with a total hits of 3. Now the reason I've got 3 is because I'm going to be presuming that we're using the heavy keyword here. So we're even though we're hitting on 4s, we're effectively hitting on 3s. Now with the 3 hits, we're going to cause 2 wounds because we're wounded on 3s. And in terms of unsaved wounds, because you've got your 3 plus armor save, but it's minus 3, so it's a 6 plus armor save, 1.67 goes through, which means in terms of damage as an average, you're looking at 5. Now of course, you can't actually get 5 damage because the weapon is damage 3, but just purely on averages, you're looking at 5. So what that would mean is an Exocrine that has actually got 14 wounds, in theory, should die in 3 turns, on average. Maybe some turns you're doing 6 damage, maybe some turns you're doing 3, but within 3 turns, it should go. 15 damage overall, as an average, going up against the Exocrine's 14 wounds. Don't forget you've still got those little Twin Gorse Flares. Eventually they'll do something if they're actually in range. So that is what it will take to kill an Exocrine using one Doomstalker. But what if this was the other way around? What if the Exocrine was using its bioplasmic cannon against the Canoptek Doomstalker? So this plasmic cannon has got blast again, and it's got heavy. Now similarly to the Canoptek Doomstalker, blast isn't going to do anything, but heavy will, and we will be using that for these maths. 36-inch range, d6 plus 3 attacks, Ballistic Skill 3 plus, which is better, Strength 8, which is worse, minus 3 AP and 3 damage, which is the same. Again, I've put on the screen for you the Canoptek Doomstalker's stat line so you can see the comparisons. Strength 8 versus toughness 8 means you're wounding on 4, so it's slightly harder to wound, but there are less wounds to get to, but there's an invuln save. That's a key factor here. There is an invuln save. So let's get through the maths again. Total shots with d6 plus 3, on average is 6.5. So in terms of the hits, because you're going to be hitting on 2s here, don't forget, because of heavy, that's going to be about 5.4 in terms of hits. Wounds cause, 2.7, because you're wounded on 4s, and then unsaved wounds, there's a 4 plus invulnerable save, so again, you're kind of shrugging half. It's 1.35. 1.4 if you like. So all in all, total damage as an average is 4.063. It's basically 4.1. That's as an average. Of course, they come in 3s. Sometimes you might do 6, sometimes you might do 3, but as an average, it's 4. So again, it's going to take 3 turns, because if you are doing 4 damage a turn, and the Canoptek Doomstalker actually has 12 wounds, then in theory, 3 turns, it's gone, right? No, not right. Let's explain. In fact, I'll explain in a moment. I'm just going to go kind of briefly summarize what we just done here. So you can see from the comparison, the Doomstalker has less attacks to start with and hits worse than the Exocrine. It only causes 2 wounds. The Exocrine only just wins at this point due to the strength being 8, so wounded on 4s, not 3s. The wounds caused part is where it gets interesting, because both have the -3 AP, but the Necron vehicle has a 4+ invulnerable save, rather than a 6+ armor save after AP is considered. Therefore, the Doomstalker gets slightly more through the save on average over the Exocrine. And there's also the off chance of actually the Twin Gorse Flayers doing something, which we didn't really put into the equation. But the second interesting factor is the wounds per model. The Stalker has only 12 wounds, the Exocrine has 14, but the Doomstalker is going to get 5 on average going through in terms of damage, so that's where we get 3 turns. However, and this is where we kind of got to the end of our maths, there's a big however. Necrons reanimate D3 wounds as a minimum, in fact, in our turn, in our command phase. So on average, that's 2 wounds coming back. It could be 2d3 if you've got a reanimator within 3 inches. I mean, we can't be adding reanimators at this point because that's an unfair comparison, but just for you guys at home if you weren't aware. But even without the reanimator, you're pretty much halving the average damage coming through just because of the 2 wounds returned on average from the standard reanimation protocols roll. Which in effect would mean the Exocrine will actually need 6 turns to finish it off, which of course it doesn't have. Now, there are some variables that you need to consider, which we'll go over now. We didn't, of course, do them in the maths because we can't do every single variable, but you've got the benefits of cover. That would help the Exocrine more than the Doomstalker because the Doomstalker has the invuln. The Exocrine could be put to a 5+. You've got the detachments, such as the invasion fleet. We've got hyper-aggression, where you get the lethal hits on monsters and vehicles. That could be very useful. You've got the rapid regeneration stratagem from that same invasion fleet, in fact. So you can have a 6+ for no pain save or a 5+ if you are within Synapse. There's Crusher Stampede is another detachment where you can get a +1 to the hit roll and even a +1 to the wound roll. There's ways of doing that. Synaptic Nexus for a 5+ invulnerable save in the battle round. There is a stratagem, of course, to reuse that as well. So there's lots of variables just for the Exocrine alone. The Doomstalker, however, also has some variables that would benefit the Doomstalker. Reanimation protocols we've kind of already mentioned. You've got the Canoptek Court. I mean, the detachment rule power matrix, if you're within the power matrix, which it likely will be because it will be shooting from afar in our homeland, in our home objective area, that means it's going to get full rerolls to hit, which is massive. You've got the counter-temporal shift stratagem for a lone operative, which is kind of madness, really. I mean, if you've got multiple Doomstalkers, then of course it's not as useful. They'll just pick another one. But in this video alone, we are doing 1 Doomstalker and 1 Exocrine. The Awakened Dynasty, you've got the Phasal Subjugator enhancement for a +1 to hit aura. That would help, but only if it's moved because it's already got heavy. So yeah, there are other things that would help the Doomstalker. There's probably more that can help the Exocrine, but I think it needed it. So for this video alone, I've got to give this one, in terms of the win, to the Canoptek Doomstalker, although both of these units are very strong. But yeah, for today, I'm giving this one to the Doomstalker. So guys, that is the end of today's video. This is the 2nd of December, so tomorrow I will see you again in our countdown to Christmas. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next one.